Hello everybody, and welcome to God's Word. Previously, we did 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 4, right? Which says that a wife has no power over her own body but the husband, and likewise, the husband has no power over his own body but the wife. And saints, we notice that a lot of people, they misinterpret this verse and they misapply it by thinking that, well, for example, the husband might say, you are my wife. Whenever I need to have sexual relationship with you, I must do it because the Bible is saying that in 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 4, and likewise the wife might say the same thing. But saints, this verse is being misapplied, misinterpreted, and we've already explained much about that on the previous video. And saints, on that verse we will notice that there is no way, just because of sexual intercourse, there is no way Paul is condoning intemperance, right? There is no way he's condoning intemperance, because even if you are married, there's no way he's condoning intemperance even in the term of sexual intercourse. We are God's people and we must be temperate in all things. So today we are going to look at 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 5. I think it would be wise if we can actually read to 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 5 and read it and see what the verse says. Verses 5. 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 5 reads, defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent, for a time, that ye give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinence. So, what is 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 5 saying? It's saying, defraud ye not one another. Defraud means do not deprive yourselves, right? This verse is speaking about husband and wife in terms of sexual intercourse, right? So this verse is saying to husband and wife, defraud ye not one another. Do not deprive one another, right? In terms of sexual intercourse, except it be in you are praying or you are fasting or you've had an agreement for a short period of time. Both of you have had an agreement that you should not go into sexual relationship. But because if you don't do that, most of you basically do not have self-control, and Satan is going to end up tempting you. You know, a lot of people, again, will misapply and will misinterpret this verse, saying that, wow, God here is saying that we should always have consent in terms of not agreeing to have sexual intercourse. And as husband and wife, as we have consent, then we are safe. And it could be in terms of prayer, number of days where we chose to say we are not doing it. But saints, let's put it this way, even if you are Christians, you are godly, sometimes there may come something which you both for some time may not agree to, right? So what about in terms of sexual relationship? Sometimes it might not be a consent between husband and wife, meaning it might not be an agreement between husband and wife. They may not agree that today they shouldn't do that, right? So what if what if a wife, for 1 or 2 days or for whatever reason, they say that they don't feel like they really want to do it. They just, their body just doesn't feel like that they want to do it. Just because the verse said that you must have an agreement. What if the other spouse is not agreeing? And goes to 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 5. So must they force their wife? Must they force their husband into a sexual relationship? No, saints. It does not mean that, right? Because we all have a right to say no to something, even if it's good. And our spouse is to understand us. You understand? Is to understand us for whatever a reason, whether you are not really in the mood, but you are saying no in a healthy way, in a healthy relationship. Your husband should not say, oh yeah, 1 Corinthians, or your wife should not say, 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 5 is saying that we should have an agreement for you to say no. No, saints. In a loving relationship, right? In a healthy relationship, if a wife or a husband, but let's say a wife this time, right, chooses to say no, as a loving husband, you're supposed to understand, even if it's for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, understand that she just doesn't want to, and that's okay. Yeah, she's still your wife, and you must love her irregardless, and that must not send you into cheating. You understand? That must not send you into seeking other ways of satisfying yourself in terms of sexual relations. If you are a converted person, you must also have self-control. Nothing should take you away from self-control in terms of sexual relationship. You understand? So if your wife says no, or your husband says no for 1 or 2 days, you must understand. But also, going back to the verse, let us not take advantage of anything, right? So even if you say no for 2 or 3 days, of course there's an amount of time you could say no. For example, if you go each time, you might say no for 2 weeks, or you might just choose to say no for 3 weeks because it's my right. Remember, use your own brain as well. You are a married man. You are a married woman. You can't go 2-3 weeks each time, each month. So again, I say, in a godly, loving relationship, you would know that, no, I need to be with my wife. I need to be with my husband. Because for you to go 2 to 3 weeks each time, each month, saying no, it's unreasonable. And number 2, it means that there must be underlying problems in the relationship that needs to be looked at, right? So this verse, 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 5, does not mean that you must always really agree. Any person can say no. Again, people misapply it. People misinterpret the Bible so that they can go and do that which pleases them. So everybody, I hope that you've heard and you are blessed. Saints, I hope you have been blessed today by what we studied, especially in terms of 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 5. May the good Lord be with you and bless you and your families.